Consumption, investment, government expenditure, plus net exports is national income, right? So if people spend money, we get taxes from some of that, or government spends money to do roads and things, or people bring money from abroad to invest, then our net imports over exports over imports, that's essentially our money. Everything else is the information. The president says this is a way to...
It's not fully focused in what they're doing. They're trying their best, but I think the salaries are very low and we need to look at it.
But which comes first?
But what I know is that when you build a high end, you're able to sell them.
People buy cash.
Yes, they buy cash because we don't have mortgage financing. A few of the banks are trying to provide loans for housing, but most sales in the real estate market are cash. So it has to be people who have cash. But when somebody is buying cash, they are looking at the future earnings. So long as there's escalation, so long as you have inflation in the material that you use for construction, the price of cement is going up, the price of iron rods is going up. So whatever you build today, 5 years from now, because of the escalation of the inputs that went into it, the value will be higher.
What is the state of our economy? Today is May Day. What do you think? Where is our economy in your view?
Well, before I get to that, let me say hello to Ghanaian workers, the labor. No country can advance ahead without workers. And let me also say that workers' incentives are very, very critical. And the main incentive for workers to create productivity is their wages. And I think that in general, we've been talking about this forever. In general, the wages and salary levels in Ghana are very low. And we need to look at that. Because if somebody's going to go to work 8 hours a day, for the whole month, and at the end of the month, what he's going to get is not adequate to take care of himself and his family, then the incentive system that is supposed to make him interested in working and producing more diminishes. And until we do that, we'll begin to see Ghanaian workers not fully focused in what they're doing. They're trying their best, but I think the salaries are very low and we need to look at it.
But which comes first, productivity or salaries? Because there's an argument that factor productivity of labor, if you compare us to certain countries, is also very low. So where do we start fixing this thing from?
I think I had this discussion with you on the radio side a long time ago. When somebody's head is below the water, he cannot breathe. And you are telling him, I need productivity from you. It is not practical. So I think in the situation in Ghana, the wages must come to pull the people's productivity high. Because sometimes when you look at people's salaries, you calculate even their transportation, how they come to work, how they go home. They will eat lunch, then they go dinner. It doesn't compute. So we have to be realistic. The salary levels in Ghana are below the living wage, and we need to do something to bring it up. So workers can have some room to breathe and make them work more to produce things for the country.
The president announced on May Day the 1st that he had put a freeze on salary increases for himself and his appointees this year. This includes the vice president, the ministers of state, and other appointees of the executive. Now, according to the information, the president says this is a way to appreciate the plight of Ghanaians in the wake of the negative impact of COVID-19. What do you think about this? Is it far-reaching enough? Is it a good example?
Well, I think it's a good show of concern for the plight of workers. But does that solve the problem? The problem of workers not being paid adequately. So that's a much bigger issue. And as I just said, without the productivity of Ghanaian workers, the Ghanaian economy is not going to grow, it's not going to be expansive, it's not going to produce the wealth that we need to move forward. So the salaries and wages structure discussion, I think, is something that must be embraced by the executive, by parliament. I mean, we are practicing liberal economics, so you don't have price controls here. But all the same, something that is very fundamental to the economy of a society, you don't just talk about it and leave it. There's a lot of the corruption that is going on. There are some people, regardless of how much you pay them, corruption will be there. But there are some people who are born honest and they will do what they have to do. But if you put them in a situation where it becomes tempting, I'm not saying because they should do it, but it becomes tempting and they do that. So I think that big issue facing the nation is salaries and wages.
So the government, but again, I'm thinking, where do they get the money though? Because this is the same government that is criticized for borrowing. Now, if you look at the basic economics, consumption, investment, government expenditure, plus net exports is national income, right? So if people spend money, we get taxes from some of that, or government spends money to do roads and things, or people bring money from abroad to invest, then our net exports over imports, that's essentially our money. Everything else is borrowed. So if you're saying the government should pay people better, where should they get the money from? Well, where would they get the money from?
Well, Rand, here is not just government. Private sector people, banks, insurance companies, must also look at the salaries of their people.
Okay.
TV stations, cities,
everybody. We're all part.
Yeah, we're all part of it. Everybody in Ghana doesn't work for government. So it's a general problem that scales through the economy and the society. Now, on the government side, let me look at it this way. You have the public sector wages, which is breaking the back of government's expenditure. The SSSS. You are aware that's about 8 billion. I think it's higher now. Now, if you're going to pay 8 billion Ghana cedis for one sector of the economy, then the productivity, what you're getting from it must become very important.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you look at it, a lot of times it's bloated employment. I think when Seth Tekpe was at the Ministry of Finance, he said he needed something like 50 to 80 people. He had 400. So we have a situation where we have overhired, and the budget of a ministry is pressed so thin to more people instead of hiring the exact number of people that you need and deepening their wages and paying them well so they can be more productive. So the reform process that was started under Kufuor, we really didn't finish it. We have to take a look at it. And here is what I keep saying, that Parliament is being given the supervisory responsibilities by the Constitution. So if there's a ministry that is over bloated payroll, call the minister. Mr. Minister, how many people do you really need?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So if we interrogate deeper and deeper and deeper, we'll begin to structure and streamline the public sector wages and get it down and pay the rest of the people who are left much better. Now, your follow-up question is going to be, what are you going to do with the people that you get rid of? And that is always an issue. And that issue cascades into the general lack of jobs in the country. Because there's a general lack of jobs, a lot of people have been pushed into places doing nothing. They go to work, they don't feel actualized.
But why is there lack of work? I always think about it. So you have a lot of land. You have a lot of people. Ghana has 30 million people. Probably a good percentage are of productive age. You have vast amounts of land. You have rivers. So why is it? So when the economy says they don't have work, and this is very typical to African countries, why don't they have work?
Well, if that's the discussion you want to have, and which is the most important discussion that this country must have and Africa must have, why are your people jobless? Then you go back and you look at the economic history of all these nations who used to be like us. America didn't start the way they are today. The UK, France, Belgium, Germany, they didn't start the way they are today. They all started like us. So common sense tells me, what did these people do to create jobs? To create a viral domestic economy, which then cascaded to get to this point. And I think, give me a chance to talk about that a little bit. You put your hands on it. The biggest resource our nation Ghana has are two things: people and land. And these two resources, people and land, are also the same resources that America used, the UK used, Germany used, and I call them the first wave of countries to develop. And the second wave of countries that came, China, Japan, Korea, They also use the same two resources.
So people and land.
Then the third wave of countries who came,
Malaysia,
Singapore, this and that, they also use the same.
People and land.
And when we came, the classmates of Ghana came, we started the same way. Kwame Nkrumah's development plan was heavy on agriculture. Look at the cocoa project. Ghana had not seen this crop before when Tete Kwashi brought it. With intelligent government policy, subsidies to the farmers, the same subsidies that America gave to their farmers, cheap loans to the farmers, the same cheap loans that the UK gave to their wood producers, protection of your borders, to protect your borders from importation. To give
so you start with
food.
Produce food, subsidize food production so that food is cheap. Export your surplus.
Yes.
But the World Trade Organization now frowns on things like subsidies. They call it market access, domestic competitiveness, and all these funny things that they talk about. So imagine if Ghana government started subsidizing the production of maize or rice. I'm sure rice exporters from Vietnam will complain to WTO and say the Ghana government is doing unfair trade rules, unfair trade practices.
No, Bernard, I think you've got into the WTO wrong, honestly. Japan lives on rice, and they told the United States and the world, nobody's going to come here and sell us rice. If there's war, what do we do? We are not going to depend on anybody. Nigeria has banned about 160 items. So we use that as an excuse, and I'm not going to buy that. Now, the AU can also organize itself. Now you have an African woman who is heading the WTO. So a development tool, a fundamentally key development tool that will be used by everybody to get to where they are. Now they are telling you that you can't use the same thing that I use, and now you are accepting that. Please, let's begin to use our brains and think and be bold and see through when we are being like Kwame Nkrumah neocolonialism. So the point is here that every country started with the same formula. Your natural resources, your land and your people. Right? And you do learning by doing. You get better. You cannot allow somebody who has been doing it for 50 years, 60 years, has perfected the system, to come open your doors, to come into your country and compete with you inside your country. It doesn't make sense. So you are telling me that my brother who started a company making flour, let's say flour, we grow maize here. Now you open your borders. The United States be giving flour for how many years? The UK knows how to make flour. China makes flour. They can come and sell their flour here in Ghana to compete with my brother who is doing it here, who started only 2 years ago. He has 10 employees. His prices will not be competitive. His quality will not be the same. His packaging will be inferior. You understand what I'm saying?
So you are talking about import substitution type of production, where the things that you can produce, you produce them here, you prevent importation at a starting point, forgetting what anybody sells internationally.
Well, definitely. Why did China refuse to join the WTO?
For many years.
Until 25 years ago. Because China was smart. China knew that right now I'm starting my industrialization. I have nothing to sell to anybody. My competitive strength is weak. My prices are high, so I'm not going to join. And if I don't join, nobody can come here. Let me focus myself, and through learning by doing, gradually, I'll get better. When I get better and I'm comfortable that I'm ready to compete, then I'll join. That's exactly what they did. And when they joined, their prices were cheaper. White goods, refrigerators, drying machines, washers, America used to make them. The Chinese people took over the whole thing and became rich. You understand what I'm saying? Now, 2 years ago, when Donald Trump was retracting from free trade and all of that, the president of China, Chairman Xi Jinping, the country that didn't want to join the WTO, who didn't want global competition, he is now waving the flag of free trade. Do you understand?
Basically, when people are in a bad situation, they distrust the system. So as soon as they start making it, then they said, let's
of course.
use this. So Africa should do the same. Ghana should do the same.
Well, I mean, we must look at why is Africa still poor. Bernard, the point is this, that you were colonized, you can have an excuse for that, but you have been independent. And you look at the global economic architecture, and you see that regardless of how hard I try, I'm still at standstill. So common sense tells me that why don't you digest and look at why are you at a standstill?
So you start with your land and your people.
Yes.
You do agriculture production. At what point do you move into industrialization?
At the point when you have overproduced. Because the initial production is to satisfy the domestic market.
All right. Welcome back today. We are going to continue where we left off the last time. I don't know if anybody can see me on Facebook. Just give me a heads up, or if I have to restart. Just give me a thumbs up or something like that, so that I know you guys can receive it, because I had Matizan Kufubito Munya on Facebook. Munya on Facebook, just give me a thumbs up. Now, let me see what I can do about it. Okay, you guys give me 1 minute. Let me restart it on Facebook. Okay, cool. All right. Basically, for about a month now, discuss it. Managing the resources of Ghana, and we've talked about the water resources. We've talked about minerals and stuff like that. At the moment, I think from last week, we were talking about the human resources. We talk about security and how you've been maintaining security or Ghana. We talked a lot. Last week was kind of very fun. We talked about excess borrowing. It just came in. And how the government is saturated. Our government, we talked about all that. This week, we want to focus on creating jobs. How do we create jobs? The government itself cannot hire any more people. It's kind of saturated. It's kind of very inefficient right now. The private sector is crying that the land is not fertile enough for them to expand and hire more people. And we all know that Ghana there, everything is controlled by the government. So we want to find out today what you think. This is a think tank. Give suggestions and debate on what we think, government in between It's, you know, first of all, I played a little video. So that, you know, for someone who's an entrepreneur, not an entrepreneur in America, Kofi Amwa, Dr. Kofi Amwa, those who live in Accra, and those who love sports will know him. Like he's big into real estate. He employs a lot of people. He was a businessman in, I think, California, and he moved down to Ghana around 2000, 2006. And it's been there since, you know. It's, you know, that's why I played that video. He had an interview and that question popped up. So, how do you, because it's a problem. The government is doing it. The government can't do it. It's, you know, how do you think we can do this? And he, maybe I thought they were very, very profound. That's why I made video like time here. That was what it was. So before my panel comes on, I want us to talk a little bit about things that are happening, things that were in the news today, Ghana. A few things that were happening today. We want to talk about it real quick. And then when my panel comes on, you know, we will discuss Jumasemo. Okay, the main thing that came on today, one of the things that I think it's been done and it's been repeated over and over and over again. And Ghanaians are concerned about it. And even people from the outside looking into Ghana are very concerned about it. It's the rate at which the Ghana government is borrowing money. And what and what they are investing into. And whether what they are investing into is going to help us pay the debt back. It's almost I think over 200 billion. Over 200 billion. For the last 5 years, more than from 57 to 2016. More within 5 years than from Nkrumah time, Abdul Muhammad time. And this example came on as, say, the previous government, which was the Mahama government, during the Dumsor era, brought in some energy generation companies. And they kind of signed some contract with them that we need this energy and we need it now. So we want you to bring the government and the ECG, the electric company of Ghana, cannot produce all that energy. So we want you to come in and produce all that energy. And the guarantee is whatever we produce, whatever you produce, we are going to buy. And almost signing so many contracts. And with that, Ghana Electricity came back online and we were able to get ourselves out of Dumsor. But the government that inherited that government said there were so many of those private companies that we signed contracts with. Now here, I sign contracts now. We have excess energy that we do not need. It's, you know, we have to get rid of them because I'm gonna buy a car. Okay, that's fair. So in getting rid of them, One of them, I think the name was GCPC. But what worries me about GCPC is among all the companies that came, Omo rate the lowest. You know, me say rate generation rate no, that's the lowest. You know, Attorney General, person ultra contract or the kind of I think there had been a committee that sat on it as to how to go about it. Committee in a committee and say, okay, some person the best way to cancel this, and say we can negotiate with them, cancel it, and pay them $18 million. Or, and I said, we can let them produce the energy and pay them $20 million every year for 4 years. It's, you know, either we negotiate with them and pay them 18 million. And I said, we don't negotiate with them, then we pay 20 million every year for 4 years, which is 18 million. So Kasana Attorney General said, okay, yeah. No free so no new Attorney General by. And I'm so okay. Upon Bibiano who say, I don't know, if you're man, you told me the back court. 18 million or muntia, almost 20 million a month or muntia. And told me the back court. And I'm the court. Told me the court and diggy. And I court and no, I was and I'm the judgment by say, Ghana before. You hear machine there from Omodiaba. Whatever they had to do on my now so yeah been so much on muka into support no for senior to muka into yeah my boy account $138 million $138 million plus interest against for sell the interest in the kahwa $170 million. It's in any way Oceano Yaboka. You may only 20 million okay 80 million a year plus we getting the energy. And last year no more discuss it. So you know what you bet logistics ni be you know discuss yes 18 million. Kwabnadonko, the Minister of Energy, the Minister of Power, you know, or had they getting Ghana out of it. Doom son said the normal thing they normally do was the bisano omun cancel no omun negotiate bi and omun can say omun postpone the contract no akonenim ti say bia e beka say omun start here produce energy 2021 you will tell them that okay we don't need the energy from 2021. The contract is still on. Start producing in 2022. In that case, there's no problem. It's you know the debate right now say the government quest say you be cancel contract no. Ami aboka 170 million. Just about roughly about 90% more. Okay, let's be conservative and say about 80% more of what we needed to pay. And at this juncture, Ghana, you need Canada. COVID-19 is wreaking havoc on our economy. And then we are going to pay another $170 million That's our $170 million. You need to know. We have to go borrow. Why would the government do that? So I tried to find out. I was just roaming through the internet to find out. Say, Ghana, how much energy do we need? Do we have the energy now? Must say a Brussels. Is it really a Brussels and I say Brussels? And what I found out, they say, there's nothing called excess energy. Country be our energy are producing. They say at least we have about 10% of energy. So to me, produce more than the Uhiano. So we have 100, and so over 110 all the time. Because whenever there's a problem with generation, not 10 about the support. So in actual fact, we don't really have excess energy. And if you want to get rid of excess energy, I don't think say the cheapest woman, and you start with first. You don't get rid of your cheapest one. You try and the boy didn't that. I think this one was like $3 per whatever the unit is, and we have some as high as $5. So I would think say you will concentrate on getting rid of the $5. Now, wage at $3 more, but this is Ghana for you. You go chasing for the $3. Now $5 more. That aside, I'll find the video real quick for Joy FM did one that they spoke to an expert. Now Martin, no kind. That's one debate. Second debate, Ghana bullion van. Well, Ghana has come out with a genius solution at solving the bullion van situation. And our solution is, since the helicopters are not ready, now Captain Kasunian starts to produce bullion van idea. What we are going to use, and that's completely going to solve the problem, is use soldiers instead of policemen. Soldiers, they're all bulletproof. If you shoot a soldier, he's not going to die. So instead of using the police, we are going to use soldiers. So we're going to have another pickup full of soldiers sitting in the bucket, following the money. That is a genius, awesome solution to the whole bullion ban problem. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's, let me find this video. So, it's a 1-minute video. The ancient. So just listen to this real quick. So this was conducted by Joy FM. Bear with me. Let's go.
Not being a lawyer. You've talked about the deal coming to Parliament. John Jinapor has made a point, for instance, and I want your take on this. He said he thinks maybe it's about time when you're about to cancel a deal that was approved by Parliament. You come back to Parliament to tell them why you're cancelling and not just cancelling that deal. What's your position on that?
Well, I'm a layman, but from a layman's perspective, you come to Parliament for approval, and therefore, if you want to cancel, I will expect that you come back to Parliament and state that for this and this reason, I want to cancel. You don't cancel and come and inform Parliament. They are two different things. Because if you've already gone ahead to cancel, you're coming, it's a post facto activity to come and inform Parliament.
Okay.
Yeah, so I agree with John Jinapor that we should look at it. That when agreements are to be cancelled, that a broader representation should be considered to review. And there's no broader representation than the representatives of the Sovereign People Parliament. Because invariably, these cancellations tend to cause financial loss.
Okay.
So, even then, from what you are reading, they recommended termination by negotiation,
Yes.
not arbitrary termination. So, if the one who terminated arbitrarily, contrary to what you are reading, I haven't seen that report, so I'm only taking as gospel what you are reading.
I can give you a copy. It's not been disputed.
The signed report.
No, of a soft copy.
It's an excerpt. I mean,
No, well, let's read a full report, but it's a soft copy.
no, is it signed?
It's not signed.
So, it doesn't meet my need.
Okay, continue.
Yes. Even that says it should be negotiated. It's not been negotiated. We've gone about it wrongly in the termination. Then, as per the contract, they go to arbitration. We fully took part in the arbitration. Indeed, the person who led the arbitration team, either the Attorney General, was the Deputy Attorney General then, who is today the Attorney General. He traveled to London several times.
The Attorney General was a leader, and he was part of the team.
Yes. He was the schedule officer. Of course, you work under your minister. You go, you lose at the arbitration, Ghana loses, and then you appeal to a high court to set aside. You ask for an extension, you're given an extension. Outside the extension period, you then go back after the extension period to ask for another extension. You haven't caused financial loss. The one who wrongfully terminated hasn't caused financial loss.
Has he caused financial loss? Do you think he's caused financial loss?
Well, whoever is saying that I caused financial loss should determine that.
He says you have caused financial loss.
How did the financial loss arise?
He says that you entered into a wrong agreement.
Is that your position?
Well, I don't have an opinion on this.
Okay, then my opinion
Yes.
is that they went to court because of wrongful termination.
At the arbitration, Ghana
Did they
loses.
do the wrongful termination?
They did the wrongful termination. So have they caused financial loss?
Answer
tell
me. No, you say you have no opinion. I also have no opinion on that.
So, but in this case, I am getting answers from you, and so I'm asking, based on that, do you think they caused
I
financial
have
loss?
asked a simple question. I have stated a fact. You can deduce from the fact.
I mean, would I be right to say, based on what you've said, they have caused financial loss?
If that is your deduction, why not?
Am I right with that
I'm
deduction?
saying, I wouldn't say whether you are right or not, but you are at liberty, and listeners are at liberty to make their own deductions, because they took us to court for wrongful termination, not for wrongful signature.
You think you did no wrong?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You think they've done something wrong?
I am not judging them.
You've talked about wrongful termination.
I'm defending myself.
You agree with
my
the tribunal
position.
that they engaged in wrongful termination?
I haven't read the whole of the tribunal's report, so I wouldn't make a statement on that until
So, I mean, this is not the exact video that I was looking for, but at least you get the gist. So, this guy, this guy that just was interviewed was the Minister of Power before. He was the guy that actually signed a contract to bring these contractors in. And, you know, the government now is blaming him that he signed a contract that wasn't so good for Ghana, so they want to cancel it. And trying to cancel it, I didn't Quebec cost 80 million if we had just gone ahead with it. It's costing it 170 million now because we tried to cancel it. So these guys are just going to pack their machines and go back without doing any work for us. And we're paying them almost twice as much as we were going to pay them if they did the job. I said, oh mine, I don't know. If it's how do we happen or USR and by now, Mumi United Senate in him or House of Representatives in him answer questions. You know, if we're in other jurisdiction, people would have gone to jail for this. So, you know, we careful for we should to be before no careful for, you know, and Charlie, that's the country we live in. Meanwhile, a friend is saying school for and this is sad. And I had this. I saw this on somebody sent me this on WhatsApp. Very, very sad, but I can't open this video. It's about guy be a original school be. And he was talking about the school being 30 years old.
Yeah, ebia yeah kasabebre. School corner American one say P5, P6, P34 at a block so and a Asian there. Aha, ayo mu JHS 1, JHS 2. And the ababe P. School corner American.
Listen to this.
P5, P6, P34 at a block so and a Asian there. Aha, ayo mu JHS 1, JHS 2. And the ababe P. Now KG1, KG2 for a more JHS 1 dying emu. Share blocks here on Motiso and Isian there and never school ameno kasa yeti a deep almost 30 good years. I was a creative school school here I said kuma DA primary and JHS. Quality do you say and the Sian the only classroom cry. Now me I want to say JHS for no I'm a fine and I'm occupy JHS classroom. Classroom we JHS 1, JHS 2, and I will sign on. I will need decks. JHS 1 need decks. Can blocks I answer say JHS 1 a class to see and then bring Ghana. Ghana, yes, 2 class. And then bring Ghana. JHS 4 at the blocks, JHS 1 my fine. And Kulawa idea at the Biasi and the Siadi. Now, I am the JHS 4 my fine and on my PM. And the occupy JHS for classroom. Temporary JHS for BS square or some sign code Biate. Many can send through. And Kayabu sent the JHS for her and can swear by and can qualify a hint and a man. Since only to the whole day, nature said at the Sia and at the tray and consult for the whole day. Ghana, Adena, young Casaye, who Abrosa. And then, can you be a minister in the Bako School of Butcher? Can you be MP and the Bako School of Butcher? President in my Emco School of Ghana. They have a Fako going to a Curtis, so they are quite Kema. Guys, for talk with this Canaba, your buyers, your dime papa one kind. It's your dime papa over Kwasi. But be a Nako every year, a hot year. Your father said, Yaya Bonnie, your Boma bro, Bonnie, Ben, Pan, and Palawi on my yet Ghana for. Now, money to sue cars. Bonnie Ben and Palawi, I yet Ghana. Bonnie Ben on my home you for Quakia for. On my menu you for Quakia for. Now, the more woman said, Ghana, your pioneer, and so your own sappy. And we think obi to be the medical doctor for your politics. Obi to be classroom for your politics. And over the years, one man and Palai Aye. 30 good years. And you, and so her JHS class, I came before, get the former occupying. I want to blog, so blogs we can say a fee, yet in a chain the China and creative. And every blessed day, I was some I may not see the Batman because for the TV. Class of like I a good deal. I can never say a good deal so and I accuracy. Better than a color and a media and the Siadi and what you know what in Christ was say, Sunan Kaka come out, I complete the same syllable with the same curriculum. The best Ramogana before. Babia Airport, who am a youth to the air break. Who am a near the say I want so a libre. Oh, we have been through Babylon. You didn't know that sort of what I see the one year. Nelson, I think it's you. The airport airtime, a yap so. The best I was such a new ya. Share then like it. No, be there and I said here, some of one for I will be on a woman who and my and I was school no errors. I said to DA primary and theatre. So we are getting so any clue. And I was at the university. I say, a medicine,
that was sad. Yeah, Maria Crowell. So basically, what this guy was saying is that the school, believe it or not, why he was standing in is a school. The school has been there for 30 years. School I did 30 years. Now, the structure that you see the kids sitting in is actually the best structure in the school. The kids will normally sit under a tree and take their classes. But the junior high, are the ones that really use that structure over there. The junior high guys are on vacation, so the kindergarten and the preschool kids are using that classroom for now, and they don't have furniture like you saw, just center blocks, cement blocks, and and the painful part is school nearly 30 years. So government after government after government will be 30 good years. And this is one of the food baskets of Ghana. It's in the Western region, especially when you do are free. The cocoa that we boast of, the chocolate that you eat all the time, that's where it originates. These are kids of the farmers that actually produce all those cocoa for us. And these are the kids. So it makes you wonder. Yes, still, last week we talked about 2.8 billion for 2.8 million for the president's jets, 175 million euros borrowed to come and replace banks that we've dissolved about 3 years ago. Today we are paying a debt of $170 million for nothing. And this is the plight. This is the plight of just say within this month you account about almost $500 million. I are wasting just this month. And his school will show you. Look at the school will show you. So I don't know when years is still Ghana, but yes, still, Into how we say country your priorities in anything. What do we want? It's sad. It's very sad. 2021. Jesus Christ. Well, we move. So, back to what we're going to talk today. Creating jobs. First of all, person me be free. have you thought, say, the current violence happening in Ghana? No? I've not done any investigations. This is just right from the top of my head. Say current armed robbery. I of course Ghana comes from. We all understand, say they come from unemployment, but I think say mostly it's from Galamsey. So you dissolve Galamsey and Akufa problems in general. I'm not saying Galamsey is good. I mean, it's good that we've put a halt to it. But I think that methods now you see the consequences and then what is happening now. Now, Galamsey for most of them, almost all of them have arms, whether licenses or unlicensed, or more too. The Chinese people that come to these pits, come to mine group, they bring guns. All right? These Galamsey people have a lot of money and they're buying guns. That's why, so this week there was a video circulating about some guy in, I think the Gabon or Turkey. And what he does is, or ship it, so when you want to send a gun, US or we barrel, large move, they are called Ghana man. That's exactly what they do. Almost your barrels, no any packages, no my export Ghana ma individuals. Until I say about a month ago, and he had a problem in Ghana. Ghana port authorities in fairness were importing guns into the country. And he was surprised because he didn't know that. No, he went to Ghana, they talked about it, they found out said somebody in Turkey is doing that. His neighbor in the business area, honestly, export and importing from Ghana now, so just a couple of weeks before had the same problem. People are importing guns into the country. Onoa, as he was talking, he just opened one bag and it was full of pistols. Like, what do when you buy and then bear 40 or 50 pistols wrapped going to Ghana? And these guys are buying it because they can afford it. And because Galamsey they always have protection. So guns, every Galamsey operation will have at least 5 or 6 guns. All right. Now these guys, have heavy equipment like excavators. Now the army is going around catching them and burning them. Most of these people, Sikaroma Kuburu, to Akoburu Sika, I spend $250,000 and I got a machine. And all the too good. And I'm a machine or machine. And Galamsey has been banned right now. It's the same machine. Galamsey no sorry banning, but he still has to pay for the excavator. Okay, he has nothing but guns and ammunition. Asam Sebe. He's desperate. First, or desperate. His livelihood has been taken away. He has nothing. All he has is a gun and ammunition and a weak police. So what do you think such a person is going to do? Welcome, Nanaya.
Thank you, Kwame.
Yeah. So,
Greetings
what do you, yeah, go ahead.
greetings to our viewers and everybody out there.
Yeah. So I was just making some I would say it's a conjectures there, but I was I was attributing, say, the lack of work. I was trying to find reason just from top of my head why there's so many armed robbery going on. And I was talking, say, these Galamsey guys, they are very armed because they work in the middle of nowhere. Now, they have excavators and big machines that are being seized and banned by the government, the tax force that are supposed to do that. So this guy borrowed 250 million to buy an excavator on loan. All right, so he's paying it. His machine has been confiscated and bent. He still has to pay the loan.
Right.
Now he's desperate. And no work in Ghana is going to pay him how much he gets from the Galamsey every month. But he's desperate. All he has is just the armor that he was using to protect himself during the Galamsey and ammunition. And he needs to pay this money. So what do you think he's going to do?
Is it straightforward that he's going to robbery?
No, but there's a chance, a very good chance.
So
But like I said,
we are talking about chances here, probabilities.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no statistics about that. It's just something up from the top of my head. But today we are going to talk about creating jobs. And I think you are the best person to have for such a topic. It's,
How's Nana Jose?
Nana Jose is there.
I hope he's fine.
Well, he says hi to you right now.
My greetings to him, and then Abaya to wherever he is.
Yeah, Abaya, but Hansen is on.
All right, thank God.
Hansen says that our leaders hate us with passion.
I think, Hansen, we should also look at it this way. That's what he said. This is just a passing comment, nothing to do with it. He said our leaders hate us with passion. Mm-hmm. Maybe from the activities that we see, we can say that, right? I mean, from what we see, some things doesn't make sense, and we are like, why? Have we also stepped by and asked ourselves, maybe there might be a bigger problem beyond these leaders that is causing to all these things? Because how come we are consistently seeing same things happening? It might be something outside of them that maybe we haven't addressed our mind to. And I think Kofi Cranton puts it another way. Since he's been visiting Ghana, he believes that it's not sometimes the fact that they want to be wicked. It's probably they just don't know how to do it. And that could be a problem. Because if you don't know how to do it, it doesn't matter how many shout anybody says, how many noise anybody makes. Once you don't know how to do something, you will never get to do it.
Yeah, you just know how to do it. Yeah.
So
but,
maybe there's a bigger problem we need to assess our society. Are we building the right competencies, the right caliber of people to do the things that we want them to do on our behalf? So as we get into the job creation thing, we'll address those. We'll talk about those and see.
I think what you said, I just played a video about 5 minutes ago of a school.
About the school? Yeah.
Yeah. And that tells me that might not be the central government's problem. Mm-hmm. It's a problem of leadership within the community. Mm-hmm. Because from the guy who was speaking, the school has been there for 30 years. That is a long time.
But okay, I'll address that. Once you finish, I'll address that.
And does every MP, DCE, the chief they have in the town, do they all know about the school? Do they want it to be corrected? And have they initiated any move to get it to be corrected? Because sometimes, I mean, you got to bring some kind of pressure for people to listen to you, you know. And if you can have a school like that for 30 years, I think this is a problem.
Yeah, so I think this is sometimes what people lose sight of, you know. I've always told people that things don't come like that, though. You have to be deliberate about stuff, right? That is how life you live life. Like, it's not manna. It's not going to fall to you just because you wish it, or just because you think it's a good idea, just because you think it's nice to have, just because you think that is the perfect way of life. It's not going to come to you like that. It doesn't come like that. It's a few people in this world who gets it straight, like things come to them because somebody prepared the way for them and they just get it and take. It's like giving. It's given, right? They just take.
Yeah.
For the most part, and for the way our world is structured, things will not come to you like that. You have to be deliberate about things and take steps to what? Make sure that you are getting what you want to get. Other than that, anything else that you say, hey, if you are not seeing those steps, if I'm not seeing you taking those deliberate steps, and you come here giving me assurance, you can talk all the highfalutin talks. Somebody will say all the high talks. You can do all the high talks. It will just be somebody, I would say, being preaching utopianism to the air. It means nothing.
Right.
So I say this to bring you to the point of just this school issue that you talked about. I've always told people, if something is not working right, the way I have been trained is, okay, if I look at everything else around, I've been trained to look at the structure. How have we structured our educational system? If you structure an educational system, that is said that it is controlled centrally. And then that central representative has a district a director or whatever who is running the school or watching over the school. Unlike what you have in America, the schools are community owned essentially because we use community taxes to run, like to build the school, right? So wherever you live, your property taxes and however taxes you collect in that zip code area will determine the kind of schools that you get. So you see, we've tried to use a system to link responsibility and ownership of one's taxes to another organization. And if that organization is not working, then you can begin to say this community, there's something going on. It has a disadvantage. I'm not saying it has an advantage. It's all the advantages probably far outweigh the disadvantages. And you have to, that is what no policy will ever give you everything. Some you have to weigh, these things. So if you have a system like that, then if you tell me that yes, the community is not serious, it's their problem, the leaders are not, then I can understand that, yes. But these community people, when they don't see their taxes directly being collected and being put into that school, right? So it's like indirectly they are detached from that school system and they are dependent on the central government to come and fix it. We all know central government. You and I know that central government everywhere in the world, if you put a lot on them, they will not give you the efficiencies that you want. That is a given. It's something that has been proven. It's scientific. It's factual. You can decide to ignore it, but it's the reality of this world. Central governments everywhere. That is why some people shout small government, big government. Do you know why America shouts small government, big government? Some people don't want big government in America. Why? Because of some of these things. They are fearful that if they leave big government, their hands cannot be everywhere. They will not be, supervising and monitoring, and things like this will run aground. That is the fear of some people. That is why they don't like big government. And you know why? That is how political ideologies are formed. Republicans, Democrats. Some people too think that big government can solve every problem. Big government should be everywhere. Another philosophy of life, So what I'm saying is that the system that we have in Ghana, this problem that you pointed out to me, it's not, I wouldn't be surprised that based on the structure that we have in Ghana, this problem is manifold. You will see it in many other places because just based on the system, I can tell you that this problem that you pointed will be an outcome. And so if I go around the country and I understand this the system, and I'm beginning to see packets or many of those, I won't be surprised because based on the structure that you have, most likely, if there's
This will
no
be the
other
outcome.
mitigating control factors that is trying to, go around and check these things and making sure that those are working properly. And I know our system is loose. People don't do a lot of supervision. Then these outcomes should never be surprising. So when I see you saying, "Oh, it's the community people," you can blame them as much as you want to blame them. Based on the structure that we have, their involvement is very, very little. Somebody will say,
But I mean, trust me, Ghanaian government like to be embarrassed to do things. As soon as this video has gone out, let it come on like big media TV like Adom or Peace or all those people. The next week, you will see a school building there. So the reason why I was...
You think they are bringing their school building because you shouted? Because they want to get the publicity as well.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They like to be embarrassed.
They are not being deliberate to solve it systematically.
For all you know, there is money earmarked for this school. It will not surprise me if there was money earmarked last year to build that school, and it's stuck in the red tape pipe, the Ghana government pipeline.
Let me tease your mind a little bit. What makes you think that 30 years that money was not earmarked, and only last year that money was earmarked?
That's what I'm saying. I just said last year just to be funny about it, but I'm sure there's been several attempts to build that school. So if somebody like this boy who just did the video, this man, hasn't come out and now they're going to, central government is going to start asking questions. And I bet you in 2 weeks' time, we will see a classroom block at that area, and the money is going to be like Konfanochi, just come from the sky, and the school is going to be there.
I can assure you that money will not come from central government. It might probably come from some private person, because central government will have to tie that money to some budgetary allocation, right? So unless maybe, and schools, central government doesn't just get up like a private person and start building school. They will have to sign a contract, go through procurement, do this before somebody wins it. That alone could take you 6 months down the line. So if you want to follow central government to immediately go to that problem, they might have to circumvent all these processes. And then some private person can decide that I want to build it and give it to you for free. He doesn't have to go through this government bureaucracy. And that is how it gets done quickly. So if you want it in quick time, I'm surprised central government will have to stop everything and then use that procurement process, what do you call it, sole sourcing, or use some very quick method. Central government, there's so much on central government that this problem that you're talking about, when it wastes it with some other problems that to deal with, it doesn't feel like this problem is maybe the agent for now. Central government might be focusing on some other stuff. So big government, small government.
I mean, there's too much waste in the system. I mean, just about this month, we've talked about almost about $500 million just wasted. And there are things like that needs to be done. Okay, that was a digression. Let's go straight to what we're going to talk about today. Now, with all the problems we have, security, whatever, there are people sitting down right now, well-equipped, educated, skilled, that is looking for a job. Like we said the other time, government in Ghana, government has its hands in everything. Now, how do we begin to create? We're not asking the government to create jobs, because we know the government sucks at creating jobs. Just create the enabling grounds for private individuals and entrepreneurs to create jobs. Where do we start from?
Kwame, I think that we have to start from our educational institutions. And Kwame, I'm very serious about this thing, Kwame, I can tell you that if I hadn't maybe traveled, right? If I hadn't come to the United States, there would be a lot of things I wouldn't have known. on from first-hand experience. You get what I'm trying to say? There would have been a lot of things I would have mixed out in life. Not because I don't probably have the capacity to deal with or like, deal with those stuff, but just because the exposure that I got limited me to a very large extent. And I see that across many other people, even with my friends back home and with my schoolmates and stuff. And I don't blame them. There's a limit to which I can blame them. It's the system that we expose you to that limits you somehow. Some people try to work it out because maybe they got friends who were exposed to a system like this, who gave them some information and directed them in some ways. You get what I'm trying to say? Kwame, why do I say so? I say so because the moment we left technical education behind, that was when our unemployment situation became a much bigger problem. From the onset, we set up a bigger problem for ourselves. When we left the technical education behind and focused on, the non-technical piece. And also, I think we did not plan properly, like compare our population growth, and then maybe at the time decide that, okay, given that we're introducing this, what do you call it? You remember the other day we discussed the Form 4 SS, like bridging that educational process so that people could finish quickly and come into the workforce and, help contribute to our growth. Maybe we had good intentions, but it appeared we became overwhelmed with time, that system gave us a lot more people that we didn't need. Maybe if we had adopted that system for a vocational training educational approach, Kwame, maybe the outcome wouldn't be today what we are seeing. You get what I'm trying to say?
Let me stop you right here and say, I don't think we abolished the technique. The technical system is still there. The polytechnics are still offering technical skills from non-certificate to degree right now. So if anything, we even expanded. What I'm saying is that, like South Korea did, they could have started from education. I think that's the long way around it. They started with a lot of manufacturing jobs. And as people started making money, they gradually started building up the education system.
Did you say North or South?
South.
Okay.
South Korea after the war.
Okay.
A lot, the education, the literacy level in South Korea was very low, and they could have started with their.
So how did they? You said they started with manufacturing. Is that not Is that not what the technical? Is that not what we are talking about here? Technical education.
Yeah. See, let me give you an example. When I was in university, every vacation, I go to UK, no skills. Just go to a factory and they take about a week to train you and they put you on a line and then you start making good money. You know what I mean? It doesn't take 4 years to learn how to work on a factory line. I know some guys used to go there and work in the farms, help with milking and creating butter and labeling and all that. It doesn't take much. 2 days, 3 days training, you got something to do that brings a little money in the house. And then whilst we're doing that, we can slowly build our education system to match. And then, because Ghana at the moment, we are producing far more graduates. And, I think they said about 275,000 every year. And they don't have anything to do, So, wouldn't you say, like, we have to encourage, more, like, manufacturing jobs. You know, what does the government has to do over there? I guess if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Kwame, that is the issue, right? If we had done the technical stuff if we had concentrated more on that side, the people coming up, like you said, some of them probably would have been our business people here, right? Because they would have find ways to create maybe some of these mini factories. They would have find ways to build stuff for us that we can use. They would have find ways to optimize the little resources that we have in using creative ways, because those people would have been hands-on. And then after they have created this path for us, then the little few people who decide not to take the technical education can come in and help on the administrative stuff. You get what I'm trying to say? They might not be technical, building stuff with their hands and stuff. That is the skewness I'm talking about. That if we had gone that path, and we had shortened the education, would have provided people enough basis to start life with. Kwame, if you went this other way that we went through, this non-technical other way, if you finish, Kwame, with that system, and you don't ever get employed into a very formal or structured system, it's very difficult, especially given the system that I know, for people to think outside and do their own stuff and be creative. But with that technical aspect, Kwame, once you go there, the system and the nature of that education is such that it forces you to be creative automatically, right? The system is like that. It's creative in inducing, because you can't tell me you went to St. Paul's and then you don't have some technical understanding about how mechanics or some things work. So that will force you into a certain mindset and a certain way of life. And you start thinking, oh, this is the mechanic of how these things work. Maybe I can create something that uses the same mechanic to get another outcome. So I'm thinking that, Kwame, we had focused, if we had shortened the form, like whatever, taking that A-level thing, and we said we're going to go into SS, and we had focused more on the technical side of things, I believe would have been much better. We would have had people who would have been creative by now, built stuff. And Kwame, it might not be perfect, just like the South Korea, when they started, it wasn't perfect. But with time, they were able to fine-tune it, like you said. And those who even had the technical skills, some may decided to have gone in for some, further studies just to come back and improve what they have built for themselves. Right. And that would have forced maybe our government to think about how to finance these people. But since we went the other way around and we didn't get these people, and everybody was going to school, if you finish school and you didn't have any products to show by hand, what was going to force your government in that environment to finance you?
Well, see, I think my problem with that, is that when I went to Ghana in 2008, lived there till 2009, and I was working at the gold mines in Mali.
You've been to Mali before?
Oh, yeah.
You're a hustler. I admire you.
What I realized in that gold mines is that almost
were you technical? Were you going underground, or you were just doing administrative stuff?
I was doing semi-administration stuff. Yeah, but what I realized that almost every technician over there was Ghanaian. It was like 90% Ghanaian workers, 5% South African, and the rest were from Canada.
Technicians of what level? They went to some what education? Can you give me the level of education attainment?
The management was 10% Ghanaian. The technocrats, the people who work on the mines, design the pits, almost 100% Ghanaian. People that manages the crews, almost 100% Ghanaian. People that manage the lines that crack the ores to extract the gold was almost 100% Ghanaian. And we were refining the gold on site. So every step along the chain were Ghanaians. And I was wondering, see, most of them were from Obuasi or Takwa, funny enough. And I was saying, industry is what shapes our education. It's not the other way around. if you have, because Tarkwa and Obuasi and all those places have gold mines there, their schools are designed to produce miners. So people who go to school in Tarkwa and Obuasi, the old Obuasi, not now, went to school to become a miner in some way or form. So it's not a catch-22 that people make it up to be. The work comes first before the education.
I see. So the approach is that we have to create the work, even if we don't have the people. Let's just create it. People
Let's start the industry. Yes.
People adapt by time.
Exactly. And Mali is mining a lot, and most of them, they are Ghanaians, but every Ghanaian has a deputy that is Malian, since they don't have the schools. And most of them, when we alerted them about the school in Tarkwa, what's his name? It's a mining school. I think Tarkwa Mining University. They've changed the name. I've forgotten what it is.
GMAT or George Grant, whatever.
I think GMAT, yeah. Now a lot of them come to GMAT to come learn or go to France or Canada to go learn. So I think it's the industries first, and that's how Korea and all those second, like this, the second round of first world countries came through. They started building the industries, and then as the industry survived and thrived, their education morphed
into
it. So, but I see anytime we Ghanaians are talking about it, we always put the cat before the horse. Yeah, the education first.
I think that is one template you've just shown us, one country that used that approach and they are successful. Do we know if it is just that like straight jacket stuff, or there were some other intervening factors that helped to make that better? And I think Obaya made a very important point, and I think I want to agree with her on Facebook. Obaya says that job creation in Ghana will only strive if policy and laws are conducive and incentive. So I believe the rule of law. If our laws are such that, Kwame, we are, punishing people rightly for, creating this blockways for people who want to bring in their own capital and invest, then, like you said, there are some people who have money but who don't want to go and start, like you're saying, this entrepreneurial stuff from which we can morph our education into these small jobs. So the underlying thing is, like you're saying, that incentive structure has to be law enforcement that works across the board for everybody, for businesses. Going to register your business should not be an impediment, no corruption. Things like that will then motivate others to want to settle or establish in Ghana. And then those that don't have the skill, like you're saying, if we're going by the South Korea template, can morph into it. If South Korea was building these factories or these buildings and there was all these policy block roads where even registering a company takes you so many days, Kwame, acquiring a land can have litigation that can drag for years, and your capital will be locked and destroyed. If those things were playing around at the time when South Korea was trying to put up these factories, I don't think they would have been successful. So I think these other intervening factors should all play along if we want to go by that template, such that it doesn't disincentivize the environment for people who want to lead the way, say that I'll take the risk and put a factory, and I'm hopeful that the people coming out, I can train them, they can morph, like you said, your own word, they can morph into this industrial technology that I'm putting together. I won't worry about whether I have the skills, I have the people. Once it is there, people will figure a way to learn and come and what? And come for me to employ them.
When you're going to do something, there's not going to be, let's say when Ford was trying to build his car factories, there were no schools in America that were teaching people how to build cars. So obviously, he built the factory first, and there are existing jobs that can find it easily to go into car manufacturing. Like, they are mechanics already. So teaching a mechanics how to fix an engine mechanic how to fix an engine, it's not going to be that hard. You know what I mean? Hey, you're welcome. Gilly.
Gilly. Thank God.
Hey.
Today we have Gilly.
Kwame and Anaya.
Gilly will give you history behind other models.
Yeah. I'm glad to be able to join you today.
Oh, thank you. We're very happy you can. Yeah. So I don't know whether you've been following the discussion until now. We're discussing how to create jobs for the teeming youth population in Ghana right now. We've talked about so many things, managing all other resources, but today we're talking about human resources and specifically how to create jobs.
Yeah.
And there's a little debate going on between me and Nanaya. Nanaya was talking about, making our, restructuring our education system, to make, and I was talking about bringing the jobs in and people will, build it and people will come.
Bringing the factories.
So, and I was using the South Korea template. Like they started building their manufacturing companies, and with time, the schools kind of managed to morph into producing students who are going to fit into the existing industry they had.
Yeah.
So, if you want to chime in on that.
Well, first of all, let me thank you for the opportunity. Regarding templates, what can I say about templates? You see, I mean, personally, I don't think our educational system is not fit for purpose. I think it has produced very capable individuals. See, so I'm not one of those who thinks that the educational system is not delivering. I think by and large it is. But having said that, there is no gainsaying the fact that there can always be room for improvement. You see, I think the challenge over the years has been that we haven't had enough jobs to meet the entire youth population. And here, I might also add that talking about the teeming population, there has been a very substantial number of this teeming population that never even made it to school in the first place. Okay. If you look back, some years back, I would think that everyone that came out of polytechnic or the universities or even middle school, by and large, they found places of employment. Okay, they found jobs. The greater number of the youth that had challenges with employment opportunities, I would think were largely those who didn't have the education, the knowledge, skills, and abilities to function in the employment world, even though some also did. So for me, the challenge has been how to get a greater, if not all, the employable youth into employment. And that is where I think that the No Child Left Behind policy, that is where it is going to be of a tremendous boost. Okay. In Ghana, not too long, about 2 years ago, Ghana sent nurses to Barbados. Okay. I think that once you have youth of employable skills, it is a global world out there. It's a global world. The opportunities will not only be limited to opportunities in Ghana, and I think President Kufuor was alluding to that not too long ago. The opportunities are all over. What will be important is that you have the knowledge, skill, and ability, and that can come from training, okay, or education. So our educational system, as to what needs to be tweaked about the curriculum and so on and so forth, that I think the experts can tackle with that. But from what I see, we all pass through the educational system. I don't think it's gotten any worse than when we were there. We had curriculum experts who developed the curriculum during our time, and I want to believe that we have those same curriculum experts around today. So I wouldn't think that the content is what is lacking, but it has been given access to the broader sections of the youth, giving access to them. And thankfully, that is ongoing. And then in terms of the job opportunities, I think that one of the greatest things to have happened,
you said giving access to the greater opportunity. That was, but even with the without this so-called access, we have this huge unemployment. Somebody will argue, now that you are giving more access, and we are not expanding, we are just going to add up to the problem, right?
Yeah, because at the moment, it is said that we are producing 275,000 graduates from our polytechnics and universities every year, every single year, and they are struggling with work. So I think I guess our question is, how do we get those guys jobs?
Well, you see, I don't really buy that argument very much. You see, and the reason why I don't buy that is that whether we educate all or not, we are still going to have the same X numbers of youth. Okay, so let's say that in Ghana, let's say we have give or take 15 million youth. Okay, this 15 million, whether we educate them or not, it's not as if we don't educate, then it means that we are going to have less numbers. It's still going to be the same number, and whether they are educated or not, they still would marry and have to feed their families. Okay, all that the education does is to enhance their opportunity. You see, all that the education does is that it enhances the opportunities. Okay, so what we are talking about here is opportunities enhancement. That is what the education brings. You see, but as to employability, whether they're educated or not, they are still going to need employment.
Right.
Okay. So that point, I think, with all due respect, it doesn't really come into the picture as far as I'm concerned. Okay.
Right.
And as I mentioned, that the opportunities will not only be limited to Ghana. Okay. If all the youth are educated, it means that their outreach, okay, they can reach beyond the borders of Ghana to seek employment. Okay, but having said that, the government, of course, will not have to, factor the external opportunities too much into the picture, and that is where I think the 1D1F, for me, it's one of the greatest and innovative approaches ever adopted by government in Ghana. See, these factories are coming up not with of course with government assistance, but it's not as if they are government owned or government managed. I would have had lots of concerns there. These are largely private sector driven. Okay, and then also opportunities that are coming up, and COVID in a way has also, or would also bring some opportunities. And what are those opportunities? Some of the jobs that will be coming up will be jobs that are web-based or internet-based. Okay, so one can be in Ghana, but engaged in or working for a company outside of Ghana. Okay, just today, for example, I had no, not today, yesterday. I had a meeting about someone, a friend of mine, who has a business in the US. Okay, but what he does is that he offers training, okay, sales training, productivity training, and so on and so forth. He does that job from his home remotely. Okay, but his clients, he has clients in India, he has clients in the US, clients in Belgium, clients in Germany, clients in Singapore. See, so he offers corporate training. He hires trainers. He's not the only one that does the training. He hires trainers from around the globe. Okay, so he has Brazil is also a major part of his network. He hires trainers in Brazil, hires trainers in India, hires trainers in Singapore. Okay, so when we have a meeting, we connect from different parts of the world. Now, the point I'm making is that this may be at a higher level, but the point I'm making is that some of the upcoming jobs, like call centers and so on and so forth, you are going to have people who may be based in Ghana. They go through some language training to acquire, whatever accent that may be considered appealing enough to customers. See, they go through training and then they are working. See, so the job market is not going to be limited only to Ghana. What is important is that job market, Ghanaian youth have the knowledge, skills, and abilities to take those opportunities up. And only education can do that. Only education can do that. I think that any argument that if we educate them, there are not enough jobs. The question is, if you don't educate them, that doesn't mean they are going to eat less than if they were educated. They will still have to feed their families.
Right, by Gilly, I think the main question is, where do we start from? Because at the moment, we are not exporting professionals, as you suggested as one of your minor points. Secondly, I don't think that 1D, is it what, 1F, 1D, or 1D, 1F has, taken, I don't think it's working great right now. We're not creating that much factories in every district. I don't think we've created more than 100 factories right now, and there are more than 200.
Well, you see, first of all, I think there was a point you made earlier on. Let me try to see if I remember. Yes, I think you were talking about that we are not exporting professionals enough or something like that.
Yeah, I said we are not, like the government decided to help Barbados with some nurses some time ago, I think when the COVID was at its peak. At the moment, we are not we are not sending out more than 1,000 trained nurses from Ghana to other countries.
You see, personally, I don't even like government involvement so much in things. You see, those nurses that went to Barbados, that was before the COVID, but that was, a special case, I'll say, because I think the government of Barbados made a request, and Ghana had the capacity, and Ghana supported. You see, but you and I and Daniel, okay, in a sense, we have quote unquote exported ourselves. See, the government didn't have to come in. Okay, the government didn't have to come in, and that is the kind of quote unquote export that I would, because if you have the skills and you want to migrate, if the government has no such restrictions or inhibitions, then you go. Okay, if it has to be, if such as the government of Barbados did, if it's a government to government request, that can also be done. But for the most part,
Right.
it is individual based. Okay, it's individual based, and at a time, it was thought to be a brain drain. But like with most things, there can also be a silver lining. So some people saw that silver lining, and then rather, instead of brain drain, they saw it as brain gain. See, there can be certain everything has some advantages and disadvantages. Okay, because if we're all in Ghana, probably the system will not be able to absorb all of us. But by the training that we had in Ghana, we've made ourselves useful elsewhere, and we are sending back home not only financial resources, but some skills as well, because a number of Ghanaians have gone back and been able to beef up local capacities. See, so that also works. That also works. And then you were talking about the 1D1F. You see, with the 1D1F, my thinking is that we should not be thinking so much in terms of that so much was promised and we are not at that point yet. But rather, we should be seeing it in terms of the pace of factory development. Has it increased or it has not? And I would argue that the pace of factory development in Ghana since the inception of 1D1F has been very favorable. Okay, that is how I would want to see it. And to the extent that that trend continues, so much the better for the economy of Ghana and the youth of Ghana.
Daddy, can we go to the playground?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not blaming the government for the slow build-up of 1D1F, because the government said it from the beginning that he wasn't the guy who, I mean, if we didn't even get the message, at least he's saying now that he's not a person to start the companies. He's just going to create the enabling grounds to make people start their companies, make it easy for them.
Yeah, I mean, I have said elsewhere that if it was the government that was building those factories, I would have been the most bitter critic of the scheme, because I don't believe in government going into such commercial enterprises. Okay, it should be the government, and as President Kufuor was saying not too long ago, Ghana traditionally has, even during colonial times and before colonial times, we had great local enterprises, the farmers, the women traders, and all. It was all private sector led. It didn't have to be government. It's not the colonizers that came to teach us about entrepreneurship, and it was indeed they rather, maybe as President Kufuor was saying, the competition between the West and the East. Then after independence, instead of doing what we had always done so very well, we were consumed by ideological labels. See, so we then fell into the trap of government being the provider of just about everything. But the Western nations that we so much like to adopt their way of doing things, their strength has been in private sector capacitation. See, and
okay.
Yeah,
so you want to chime in?
Why can't I go to the park? I want to go there. Go.
Daniel, I can't hear you. Daniel.
Oh, I said, can you hear me now? I think it's okay.
Yeah. I can hear you.
I'm saying this is where philosophy becomes very important. Depending on who is leading and who has power, the society could be moved in different ways, right? And so that is where it's important that leadership also understands the problem. That way they can lead you out of it using the best path possible. So, because if look at the approach you recommended, look at the approach I recommended, and look at the approach Gilly recommended.
Right.
How will we, if we are not having the examples of some other countries to compare, and we were starting from the same place with them, from the same baseline, how are we ever going to have an assessment to know that this person's approach will eventually be successful and lead this country out of, whatever difficulties they had? So that is why I always say that when you're a leader, you also need very dedicated people who can do a bit of research and more like come to you and present to you why they think a particular option is the best option and let them justify it. And then being a leader, you have to have a certain, I would say, gifted ability to be able to pick, more like have some good omen, right? To be able to pick on what policy path will be a success for your people. And that is critical. If you have that and you have the right people around you, as I'm saying, who can do this research and present your alternatives and argue and show you all the good sides about it, then you can at least take some informed, good decision. So I think that what you said, Kwame, I can't sit here and say, Kwame, that approach will fail. It won't solve our problem. What I said, somebody can also give another country with that example, right? What Gilly is saying, somebody can give another country with that example. But if somebody can research and know that, Kwame, your example, there are so many templates out there that have shown relative success compared to my example, compared to Gilly's example, then of course, we can, based on the fact of the research, we can say that it appears this approach, if we take it, we have some confidence based on the information that we have now that it will end us well or it will lead us to that desired outcome. So, Kwame, what I'm saying is, from what Gilly is saying, then we need a complement of both. Whether we have the jobs, the industries or not, still having our people educated the way they are being educated doesn't, disadvantage us in any way. All we have to do is then match up to that pace with, your factories, what you are saying, building those factories. Let's match up to that pace. And from a society, from a welfare perspective, that will make sense because, like Gilly pointed out, whether you educated somebody or not, once they are grown, they will have to find a living living work or living wage to earn. So you are better off educating them even if they don't have the job, because having that education alone prepares them and, like Gilly said, makes them ready for whatever opportunity befalls them later on in life.
Yeah.
And in that sense, Kwame, what we need more is that, I'm now coming to your point, what we need more in that sense, having putting this contest out there, what we need more in that sense now for our situation will be, Kwame, to come up to that South Korea, just build the factories. Build them. Those that have gotten the education that are not getting the job, if they see that the factories are there, they'll probably reskill themselves and come back and get those jobs and perform.
I mean, your last point is exactly what I was saying.
Yeah. So I think that your point is where we need to be now. We need that more now than providing. We have to still do the other one, but we have to accelerate your point more than ever, maybe double or triple our steps on those. And then, fortunately, we have the people there who are already prepared. It will just take a little bit of tweak and training here and there, and they will fit in properly.
Exactly. You see, I've met a lot of IT guys in the US that are Ghanaians that came to the US with a different degree or skill altogether. And when they came here and they realized that IT and nursing and medicine is what US needed more, they educated themselves. Some of them were even self-schooled, educated themselves. Those who had to go to university or to go and get a top-up to become a nurse or a medical doctor or a computer scientist, those there are so many of them, about 50% of them that I've met, learned computer language in their homes and got their jobs. And now that they've got their jobs, now they are educating themselves, through the traditional way to get an even better jobs. And I think if you put the jobs first, people will start working. They'll start with a little skilled jobs, and then they'll work their way up. Whilst we continuously, try and make our schools better. So I think you even put it better than I said it, Daniel.
Yeah, so I think we need the factories more now. Just create the factories. People will figure a way out. If they have the education and they are sitting out there, it's already good gold mine we have for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So we can tap into that gold mine if we have these other factories coming up. I've seen that Obaya and Nana Hoji have come on. Maybe they have something to add. I'll pause here for now.
Yeah, welcome, Nana Hoji and Obaya Kwaba.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jodo brother.
Oh, for right now, I don't have anything. I'm listening. I'll come in.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, my member Makakra. You see a nice approach be like Obuasi area what to go do or then education or more of training people to when you access to way to go to Naz and be them. Education is
my member to family American say education adwuma de betimi aba and say education aba adwuma ne ba na me kaza me koye adwuma o mines bi o Mali na o ma me hu o munyira wo ho no Ghana fonko na wo ho mo ye adwuma no and most of them no from some mining areas in Ghana no Takwa Moboase ne some mining areas no and omunyina school because mines ne wo ho no omusua ade a ebetuma mo abo mo mining.
Right.
It's mining companies, and a director or margin as to what to specialize in.
Okay. And say eba Cape Coast, if could be often Blewa school be or a German from what's on the first or a technical school or Cape Coast Blewa. What's away? Why young as technical school? What wasn't Sanjuma? What was Abuanabra? By Ghana, you know, technical school no do. You know, call you one day when on ye gimibia. By saying you Kodama technical school sinoda. In Ghana, ye tumpon as technical people because Ghana, ye be bifunankasa, yan asazoy or ye pa ye. Technical, yim zero technical, and some urban equajuma, urban yanfa bibi, you're very creative. That ma education, above education, when some boy, Kwame, when some boy cry, a boy school, Ako University, a couple of four, no in the Yansa. Right? When you didn't answer by one of what technical school wasn't
Obia only Minyansa no one casa bed and who's only Minyansa.
Yes, by one free technical school so one boom one. Kwame David Biamze, more example. Them more Jesus and when you would try vocational skills Namsimewu. Because baby I'm too many years old when no wake him
right
wake him mewu into them you look baby for and see you painful why young and style be in fact since I'm over my befie my youth when you be in there or the ye creative Sisiara if film in Ghana if only in Ghana or may ye creative if you Nayan to me employ more people. Nayan to fiase. Kwame, so we fear ye fear, why you know ye fin. So we fear ɔyɛ fi a wadwe no so fi wom nti Ghana yɛn adwene no fi wom ma yɛnkre ne yɛn adwene sɛ yɛtum yɛkre ne Ghana more jobs to come.
All right, and I was just saying that we should be creative, but I kind of agree with him. I mean, any country that have a lot of problems have a potential of creating a lot of industries because those problems have to be solved. And Udian was saying, Gilly, do you have anything to say about this one?
You said potential. The maths might not work out. The problem might be there, but the math of creating that business to solve it might not add up. The margins, your profit margins, you realize that, yes, I want to solve this problem, but there will be a social cost that I can never recover. And you might that is where you probably need some external intervention, right? Yeah, but Kwame, just to add to what Nana Hojin said, you know, when we say technical, it includes IT is technical. You get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
So when we say technical, I think we are not just looking at, using your hands per se. Even software development, those things are all, you know, it's some form of technical that has moved in that realm or space. So we have to look at it as a progressive, you know, term, not in the days of old. When we say technical, then we are looking at somebody using hammer,
like the trades. I mean, see, now it's a problem because if you're doing any project in Ghana and you're looking for tradesmen, it's not as easy as it used to be. First, you know,
why do you think so?
I don't know why it's that way, but like,
is that not a reflection of the shift that I was talking about? We moved away from non-technical, and over time, is that not what you're seeing? What somebody would say, the legacy effect, or that you are seeing?
Do you think that's institutional? Because
I think institutionally we created that problem for ourselves over time. I think so. I think institutionally we created that the way we moved, we were not too conscious. We were you see, and I could understand that at the time we also needed manpower to come and fill jobs. At the time we weren't desperate for jobs like today. You get what I'm trying to say? Think about it. Even in the 90s, if you finish university, chances that you get a job was about 70%. Gilly, you can correct me on this. Early 90s, right?
Well,
I remember some of my professors telling me that, in our days in Legon, we had a whole cubicle to ourselves. And just comparing that period to my period.
I think that was before the 90s.
Oh, that was before the 90s. Okay.
My dad finished school in the early 70s, and he said he had 3 jobs. His problem was location. Where to go?
Imagine. Yeah. So maybe the late 80s.
On the opportunities, you see, first of all, let me react to what my brother Nana said. Something about technical education, that not enough attention is being paid to it. You see, again, I would also beg to differ. You see, I don't think is that there isn't enough attention. It just has to do, in my opinion, it just has to do with the fact that resources are always stretched thin. You see, so even if you talk about even universities, during our time in the 90s, we had just 3 universities in Ghana then. Okay, there was Cape Coast, Tech, and then Legon. There were those 3. And then we had lots of, there were a lot more technical schools because there were all the polytechnics and so on and so forth. We had all of them. Okay, then the sector was made more accessible, or was entry was allowed. The private sector were allowed entry. So we had a lot more universities. Even then, it was felt that the government still needed to come up with a lot more universities. But alongside the universities, other technical institutions are also being built. See, the fact of the matter is that there can never ever be enough resources to cover every need. Okay, but to make the argument that we don't pay attention to, I don't think that is so. The fact of the matter, though, is that graduates from universities would tend to command a higher remuneration than those who did not. Okay, so because of that, most parents, if they have the resources, they would rather their kids make it to the universities. Okay, of course, if one is not cut out for the university, there are other avenues. There are other avenues. You see, so that was the point I was trying to make. Then also, regarding factories, you see, my sense also is that when it comes to employment opportunities, factories are great, and I'm sure they are going to be around for a long time to come. But then there would always be emerging industries. Okay, environment is one, green technology, all of these. And these are not only restricted to university graduates. University graduates may get just a chunk of it. Like in Ghana right now, they have the green something that they have going on now.
Yeah,
okay.
Operation Plant 5 million trees.
Yes. These are going to create so many opportunities for some people. It comes to sanitation, area of sanitation. This is going to create opportunities. Okay, so the opportunities of tomorrow, we may not even have much of an idea today. But what is important is that, or what we need to realize is that the better one is educated, the greater the opportunity to take advantage of opportunities as they come up. Okay, so that is what I want to comment on.
Well,
I'm gonna,
go ahead, Obaya. Go ahead.
And this is where I'm going to step in just a second, because yes, I agree with most of what you said. Education does open greater doors for you, but we shouldn't limit our mindset as to what education is. Education is not just a university degree. Education is not just a higher learning degree. Education comes from different aspects. Now, every first world country in the world today, except for Great Britain, became a first world country because of manufacturing innovation. They didn't become a first world country with a bunch of lawyers. And the only reason I take Britain out of that equation is because Britain has kept its might because it had so many colonies and so many different people who were pumping money into Great Britain. Right. But every first world country in the world today became a superpower because of manufacturing potential. If we want to improve the fact that 80% of the youth in Ghana is currently unemployed, what we need to do is to improve our manufacturing capabilities within the country, not take raw unprocessed cocoa and send it over to Belgium to make the finished product. Exactly. That is not how we go forward economically in Ghana. Not take rubber sap and send it to China to make tires. No, we need to get in, like Kwame was saying, I lived in South Korea. That is exactly what South Korea did. South Korea emboldened their economy and everything through manufacturing. As we speak today, South Korea is trying to get their education system to catch up with their socioeconomic standing. South Korea is the biggest importer of out-of-country teachers to come teach their kids to keep up with the rest of the world, because now they have all the money and they're competitive in everything else. So now they're focusing on their education. Germany did the same thing after World War II. After World War II, Germany was a cast-out country. Germany was ostracized from almost every other world's economy. So Germany broke down their citizenry. It funneled citizenry into manufacturing. It funneled citizenry into things like education and medicine and stuff like that. But over 50% of Germany's population was technical. Over 50% of Germany's population was in place to rebuild Germany, to get Germany to where Germany is back speaking and back as a world power. I mean, it was after World War II that the auto industry in Germany established itself as to what it is today. And, when we're thinking good cars, we think in terms of Mercedes and BMW and stuff like that. What Ghana needs to do is stop where we're at, stop spinning our wheels, and traject back to what we were made from. And like Nana was saying, how can a country that was made from miners and the sweat of cocoa farmers and want to abandon all of that and think we're going to get somewhere? We can't, because the lifeline of Ghana, being in a fertile environment in sub-Saharan Africa, is always going to come from the blood soil of Ghana. It's always going to be in farming. It's always going to be in taking those farm products and making finished products out of those and then exporting that. But none of that matters until we get policies and procedures in place that are supportive of this. It all starts with government. It's not the local citizenry who is going to take this and change it around, and not government, as in big government, insert themselves into every part of this and try to fund every part of this. No, it's going to start with government, and government making it feasible and conducive for private sectors, even if they are outside private sectors, to come in and inject the cash flow we need into this. Because the Ghanaian government, we can't afford to restart our economy. We don't have the money as a country to do this. But we have a lot of rich Ghanaians who can do this. We have a lot of industry who are looking into Ghana to do these things. But policy in place, policy, law, governance in place right now doesn't make it conducive.
It has to be intentional. The government has yeah. And not to cut you short, but it's not like we haven't done this before. Nkrumah's government actually did this. So we're not going to go get a blueprint from anywhere but in Ghana. Right. Ghana was producing enough rubber.
But that was what Gilly. That was
wait. Let me finish with this point, and then you can come in. See, I understand Gilly's point of more capitalism than the government trying to do things, but some things has to be kickstarted by the government, especially if you're running the type of government that we're running in Ghana.
Okay,
see,
Nkrumah,
Nkrumah, we were producing. Just let me.
Kwame, may I just come in here briefly?
Quickly, yeah.
You see, so we're talking about farming. See, farming has always been the mainstay of the Ghanaian. Okay, before colonialism, before the colonial powers came, farming was our mainstay, and it has been our mainstay since the colonialists came. It's not, we are not working on cooperative farms. Okay, they've all been private sector driven. Right. Currently, we have planting for food and jobs as a major policy. Ghana is on course to exceed $1 million tonnage of cocoa. You see, these things are going on. Government makes certain inputs, yes. So there's the policies there. Government is supporting through one subsidy or the other. But at the end of the day, it's still the privately owned farming enterprise. See, that drives the engine of growth. Okay,
Gilly, let me cut you off there. I understand this, and I actually agree with you. But for the farming, government actually intentionally had a policy written just for production of cocoa and farm products. They were importing fertilizer for free.
Yeah.
For free to the farmers, or at a very, very affordable price. They had intentions for that. What I'm saying is that there are some companies that were started from government that, private sectors could have come in later on. But so it was intentional, like Obaya saying, we've been producing cocoa for the past God knows how, God knows how long. And we are still in 2021, still exporting cocoa beans. See, this is where the government has to step in and produce some kind of incentives for people apart from
again, just to remind you, yes, Ghana still exports cocoa, but increasingly, you see, and that's what I was the point I was alluding to earlier, that we sometimes have to look at the trajectory. That yes, we do export cocoa. There have been talk over the years that we should do the processing within. The question is, do we have any processing capacity now? Yes. You see, so we do have it. Maybe the focus is that we should increase the pace of it. You see, but sometimes to make the argument as if we don't have it and we now need to be told, those things are there. Just that sometimes they take time. You see, you need to have the policies in place, and even talking about the cocoa processing, it's all done by the private sector. The policies that engender those enabling desirables, those are what I think.
Bro, you are talking like politicians. Let's find a solution. If it's there, let's call space to space. 1D, 1F is just a title. It's a big title over there. They don't do anything. I'm serious. 1D, 1F is a big title. Let's face the fact. If Sekoko, you export 1,000 years, a for that, you chocolate for Ghana. Let's not Ghana. Too much.
My dismiss be also for dismissing sake because that makes it good listening for some people to hear.
Because I know
is that a fact?
Because
is just a title.
All right, obviously, I say, why not doing say? Bibi Papa Bia and Bibi Homa. Engine, why not doing say, and you did that? Just a cocodum pempenswa. Obronina, a dark near Bamana Jedi said, Obroni Biba Sobbing sat not their cose. Sadima when Nima 1D1F, I said, Obey Jedi. Oh, yeah, I be before the I said, yeah, I didn't say, the Papa being to me few of the Bini Homado. I did Biara Baki Biara Bacasania. It's to say, Besha say, I didn't waka, I didn't know kind of a Kosuka. Can you say, or kind of not your cookers? But she say, or kind of. But could be a numian subi abana, so but could be a numian suburbia, but the abadia, and your convention a bay faswa, a baby baba. But say, yeah, you say, a by 4 years in it. Debia Yakubi. And so some radio snag you what you say, and yeah, the other say, Bibinina Jenny said, Bibi Papa be to me for Bibrim, and one offer. Oh,
yeah, Gilly, I think we understand your point, say B back. But we are trying to say, at the moment, it's at a very slow pace. We want it in abundance so that everybody will get it. Daniel, I think your mic is still off. Everybody's going to get a job. Remember when the radio stations, when government was trying to encourage the media in the early 90s, after the abolition of the criminal libel law.
Right.
They opened the waves and made it so easy to get a license to start a radio station. And we see the results right now. In Ghana, every 100 meters you walk, there's a radio station because the incentives were there. There are a lot of rich people with money sitting in Ghana trying to find a place to put it where they are not going to lose it. Aside that, there are a lot of foreign investors looking down on Ghana like, okay, we have this much money. When we send it to Ghana, are we going to get it back? Can't you just make it easy for them? Tax incentives.
And
go ahead, Obaya.
That's all we're saying. Is actually, if the counter argument this needs to happen is we already have the capabilities and we're not doing this. This makes the case worse. If the counter argument to this is the solution to 80% of the youth being unemployed and desperate and turning more and more to crime and all these other things, if the counter argument to that plea is, but we have the capabilities already, then that makes it worse. That doesn't make it better. And the promise, the campaign slogan was not eventually one district, one factory. Someday maybe one district, one factory. Maybe one district, one factory. It was, as a matter of fact, one district, one factory.
That's easy.
It wouldn't be so painful if there hasn't been millions of dollars of loan and aid money taken against Ghana's future to make this 1D1F come true. It wouldn't be so painful if we are not seeing our GDP value drop daily to make 1D1F come true. So if you say that, then you cannot turn around and also answer us with, we have the capability, we're just not up to using it right now. That is insulting to the Ghanaian spirit. That is insulting to the Ghanaian intelligence. That does nothing for the Ghanaian who can't put food on their table today. Like, no, this government really needs to work on, if nothing else, their PR and how they respond to what the average Ghanaian is saying. Because I tell you, not listening enough to a people, it only ends in violence, because violence is the final cry of a people unheard. And we're seeing this happen. So to then turn around and take this and say, but you're slow. What? No.
Kufuor had a solution to this. When we started the conversation at first, Daniel said something about, availability of land for foreign investors and stuff like that. The Ghana government owns about 70% of the lands in the north. The only reason why there are not a lot of factories there is that when people think they manufacture in the north, it's going to take them another heavy financial financial hurdle, to bring their products back to the coast to ship it. So Kufuor decided, you know what, I'm going to build an inland port in Kumasi and actually, do better roads from Kumasi to the north so that people can produce from the north and bring it to the center of Ghana and then be sent to or create rail lines or stuff like that. If government wants something to be done, if he puts his mind to it, there are solutions. If there are not a lot of lands in the south, there are a lot of lands in the north. Create a transportation system so easy for people to bring things from the north to the south and give that free land that the government already has in enough to those investors. See, if government want to do something, it's very easy. That's why I was saying, when Ghana was producing enough rubber, that we were shipping raw rubber, Nkrumah decided, you know what, I'm going to build Bunsa tie factory. Ghanaians didn't have universities that taught how to make ties, but guess what? Everybody that worked there, about 8 out of 10 was Ghanaian. If you build the manufacturing factories, people will learn how to work it. It's so easy. And I'm not saying, at this point, I'm not saying the government should build every factory in Ghana.
What do you want?
We know something about the government. When the previous government built a salt, was it a sugar factory? The next government came in and said, we don't like it. And it's sitting there and rotten. We know what Ghana government is. They are not going to use it.
It's not as simple as saying the next government came and said we don't like it. I mean,
that was basically it.
No, that cannot be
they
basically
like
it. No. Who doesn't like it? Everybody likes it. But you have to apply yourself.
Mm.
So, Kwame, let me make an intervention here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, usually, like we are saying, Kwame, who does all these things that we talk about? Who doesn't desire them to happen? I mean, everybody desires that these things happen. But Kwame, it's a different thing desire something, and it's a different thing having the ability and the time constraints or whatever resource constraints to execute what you desire. As for desire, we can say everybody has a vision. Who doesn't really think that this thing needs to be done? I'll say if you ask anybody in Ghana, they will say, yeah, these are great things. But Kwame, great things themselves don't manifest themselves. It has to take.
So that's
like
why
you said,
that's why we
it has to
created
take
a government to make it work.
Right, people with intention, people with strategy, people with knowing how to manage the letter that comes their way in a way that systematically gets them there. Nobody expect that, Kwame, when the government was telling one district, one factory. Kwame, was that you having when we were voting for it? Was it your expectation that in 4 years all Ghana will have factories all over? That would be that is, somebody said we campaign in prose and we govern in whatever. Some American president made that point that when they are campaigning, they campaign in prose, and then when they are governing, they govern in. Yes,
so are you saying that we've given the government a license to lie?
Oh, so of course, Kwame. That is part of this game. Unless we are naive about it, that is a reality of politics. When people are campaigning in politics, they will use crazy, catchy advertising where that will get your attention.
Right.
But if you're very Kwame, if you're very knowledgeable like me, and you know how things work with government and how things get done in this world, you can definitely tell me and know that 4 years, 4 years will not be a year where you can build all factories across the country. That will never happen. 200 and something factories. Do you know what it takes just to finish the financing of one factory? The time it takes to get through that. So yes, there's good intention. That's why Gil is saying that let's measure the progress. How far are we getting towards that? Before, how much did we have? How many are we seeing on the ground? If we can see that systematic increment, then we can be assured that okay, we are doing those things that will get us there. But if we can't see those progress, then that is why we can come and say it is rhetoric. That is why we can come and say it's just worse. But to just dismiss everything and make it look as if even the few that have started, the few that are on the ground means nothing, then which politician is going to be incentivized to ever start anything? Because we all want to see all the 200 factories at a goal. Is that our expectation? I don't think so. That will even be unrealistic. That is not my expectation. But at least, like you said, the sugar factory, we had somebody created a sugar factory. You come, you're able to sustain that, you add on top of that, add yours to it. Another person come, then we can see that we are making what? Headway. But if somebody created a sugar factory and you came and that sugar factory is not working and you gave us 3, already if you net it out, we are down to 2. You get what I'm trying to say? Right. So let's not be too dismissive about stuff and make it look like the people who matter most in.
I think we lost him again. Yeah, but if you can hear, I don't think anyone is dismissing what is being dismissive of the efforts the government is putting in. What we are saying is that it's not enough. See, we have people there waiting to get a job, and you're telling them, okay, slowly. When you were taking when we were voting for you, you knew it was only for 4 years. And you told us we're going to build a factory, a district. Okay, we have about 200 and something districts, not even, if not more. If you had built about 80 factories now, I don't think anybody will be complaining. It is the pace, it's too slow. So I think here today, which we've run out of time, I think what we're trying to find, what can we do to speed up the process? Nkrumah took less than 10 years to change Ghana from a subsistence, I'm going to call it subsistence farming kind of country into a manufacturing country within 10 years. Surely we can do that. I mean, we borrow for less. We borrow to fly around. Just today, Ghana owes $170 million that we are going to pay one of the electricity generators for doing nothing just because we canceled their
I
contract.
saw my sister twice, right?
Right.
Yeah. We were supposed to pay them about 80 million within 4 years to provide energy. Ghana is saying that's too much energy. We don't need it. We are going to cancel the contract and pay you 170 million. Guess that. You know what I mean? So I think we've lost both of them. I think that's what we're talking about now. Go ahead.
One district, one factory does not have to come out of the government budget. One district, one factory can also be hiring a company from outside who wants to do industry in Ghana, and in the contracting requirements, make it so 90% of the staff they can employ at any point is from the local economy. And at any point, not more than 50% of management is outside of Ghanaians. This also fulfills one district, one factory without bankrupting the government. I mean, there's so many ways to fulfill 1D, 1F. Like, I think we're being very myopic in how we're looking at how 1D, 1F is going to come about.
And excuses are too much. There was a question about 4 years ago, is that why Ghana has been producing gold for like 500 years, and we don't have any major gold refinery in Ghana. At the moment, we still export gold in its raw form to be refined in Dubai and other places. Dubai doesn't mine a single ounce of gold. And the funny thing is that there was a raid in a Chinese casino in Ghana. A raid.
Yeah.
And when they raided the place, you know what they found? The Chinese has managed to build a gold refinery in that little casino.
Yeah.
So if so poor Chinese people have built a gold refinery inside a casino, how come Ghana cannot borrow like we normally do some money and build a refinery? We mine the gold already.
This is the
refine it. Go ahead. That's it.
Okay. Also, like Ghana, no. My question is, why is it that anybody that have money, right, to build a business, the first business comes in mind, radio station. We have more radio stations than even like a company. Captain Smart.
I said
Smart, also but that kind of money, can establish at least a code room. You bet me save chicken near cold store. But yes, you follow trend, We don't.
Easy. If you are importing machines for broadcasting and getting a license for broadcasting, license now, first it was so easy. So when you have the money, not what machines are and taxes.
Yeah.
So I say, by all cold room now, can the machines no building cold room no. The taxes on the machine on quality two radio stations.
But
machine instead of building 3 radio stations.
Forget the machine simple. May basic cold room area. May a light for him.
Electricity.
Why you doing so?
Now radio station for no more than are they exempted?
The energy you need, the generator capacity you need to run broadcasting equipment is a fraction of what you're gonna need to maintain a cold storage.
Oh yeah.
So the economics of it makes sense to go to radio if these other factors.
But we have too much radio stations. At least government in a bit in the form said no. I can't say pure water buy, right?
Is that what competition is about? Let them compete. The good ones to stay, the bad ones to fall.
That's not a nation building.
Okay.
That's not who's the problem. I said, yeah, you follow one trend, right? And so buy and pure water buy, sorry, right? Not or you pure water, right? And also and also crown or Montimi and taxi that pure water companies now on bit me I recycling. Right? Into a same pandemic am I a sing COVID because pure water
police Ghana pure water, yeah.
And a two taxis you cry buy, right? You're part of Ghana now, almost oh, yeah, you issue Uber, but other side, now you issue Aboboya. I dare taxi bet me, or more person Aboboya, they want to use the same. And to me, it doesn't make sense, other than Abia capital, yen person be issue Aboboya, but Obabona Afwa, then we are able to use Aboboya because they're convenient for that community, It doesn't make sense.
But it's all incentive driven, right?
Yeah, but
you're looking at market dynamics. People will decide where the market is and what makes sense. And
exactly, at the market.
Internet, you
government.
Aboboya is a community government. Is the AMA that decided so you have to talk to your DC.
Unless there's a policy that says that
assemblyman
we don't need this, the standard. It doesn't mean our standards.
I know in Sunyani and Techiman they've banned them from going through the city.
Masa go Brekum.
Why is it India?
The town of Brekum, the township of Brekum, assemblymen, they have to argue that. So I know the government, central government, don't me.
No, okay, but another issue, not like more kind of my personal may fan say universities what Ghana any technical institutes no Ghana. This is my fundamental issue.
Kwame, I read the Facebook for one while no boy pa yaba could you say corner shop everyone wanted to say the Awokana madam for the Ghana will be a corner shop. That is also another thing.
Corner shop.
Yeah, but as our corner shop now, they buy air cannon, right? That convenience store, no, because you see that in Ghana, no, you see enough space. KJT market no more, rooms, store rooms, I say a storage unit. What call high U-Haul? And you know what one thing. Because you're dealing with numbers, you're dealing with quality. Because you're per quantity, Now you're say, okay, your person will be but in that case, no, so cashier prequa and at least ubi oton mako, ubi oton and chene, or munina one building instead of rather that say ubi divided, right? But me escape or maybe issue about that educational more kind of problem in say 5 years or 3 years now or call young problems what Ghana now young from more as a practical theory
project work
project work say at the end of the year before your graduation say pounding fufu and a big issue what Ghana they are a tech
come out with a solution.
I say right now no Ghana no me fan say cashew abu, right? We only use the cashew nut fruit, right. The tugu na and once and fry anti other not technical institutes say before your graduation why don't you create something media cashew juice and now say I like opening theory say like
then I fine. Come up with something. Yeah.
By the before so being a diploma and say or certificate, now when your solution. I think say Obikro war a grass crown or a human there. Not government, why then what and another thing I like me percent up my youth say.
I mean, this is a question. Obi serious say most here in the US, some say technology, tamana musinacho. Niamana no more producer mamo.
Let me answer that. And I was listening to City FM and somebody they were asking a land surveyor about the land tenure laws in Ghana. Fortunately, I did geomatic engineering in KNUST that involved land surveying. Unim said every year there's a design of how to systems to regulate the land tenure system. Every year, and there's a competition about that crowd. And you go to our shelf, our research shelf. There are more projects. Maybe some of them will just surprise you how intelligent Ghanaian students are. With software, Bimu produces and produces software. And this surveyor, Mimi was school, that was a very long time ago. Me come with me agent. That was
a long time ago. No crash. Don't worry.
That was a very long time ago. And that time, my project was to produce a GPS system to help tourists navigate Kumasi. Government didn't give a penny. Me I'm called digitizing my maps. It cost me a lot of money. Sika Mikonya and London that year I'm doing ashing. The share shelf. So Nkrumah's intention for you, Nkrumah's intention for UST is not what Ghana is using UST for now. So I learned tenor system now. Quantity TV said, okay, now we have to digitize the maps. Master Google has already done that. So what I say. And even before Google,
last week, they are saying
before Google, me Kwame Nkrumah person digitizing Kumasi. I did it with a budget of less than £500.
Yeah, but
why are you sitting there? Me real school is over God knows how long.
Over 10 years
now.
ago.
And you are telling me that the only place that you've digitized right now is 3 districts in Greater Accra region.
Yeah, airport residential.
So, it's not the university's fault. First of all, government does not fund any of our projects. It's self-funded. Government government only pays the what government does very well is that. And it's not just that. Legon is you doing it. Can you?
We are not a technology. Well, because we are talking technology.
Government and support. Government and support. This is the problem.
Because last 2 weeks now about like a bit to me you work on to and I made example right. Last year me sunya and I may my audience like I want to open bank account from Ghana Commercial Bank, right? Sometimes you blame government, okay, me bash government sometimes. But so crown West crossing government, One, because Ghana Commercial Bank say me could be me account, right? You do almost you need a tax ID number, right? And a tax ID number, no, it may take you long because because Accra and Sana manya tax ID into a brown envelope. Into maybe as a citizen, me a money, but I needed it. But I wanted the information computer a generated barcode, but barcode or catch them a bit take it 2 weeks. But me extra no, minya barcode no right away. Because bank me passport no right. This is one thing I have with the immigration service. Any Ghana, I'm going to say my passport because I was issued outside United States, outside Ghana. No, I can't do anything with Ghana passport. It's my personal account. This is this is a stupid question. The manager na catch me. Men kope Ghana nebi enye attaché. Na me fambi na me say se me the Ghana ni ebe attaché a.
Yeah, attaché.
Uber to me accept me passport no. Or say I meet me as accept it. Now you say it doesn't make sense. But to me they are free.
I face a similar thing. Made me ID card. Like Satana, made me New York ID card. They call Ghana. Me call bank. Acquire some transaction. They wouldn't accept the foreign ID card. They want me to bring their Ghana passport.
And ID.
Ghana passport, yeah.
Whoa, but
Yeah.
Ghana passport.
Issued,
Well, I must say because it was issued outside Ghana.
Outside United,
they're not going to
outside
accept
Ghana,
it.
it's not valid. It's me bufui, and I'm a free Ghana commercial bank, and I'm a call Isuyan post office, or there's a new bank, right? Because yeah, there's only two tellers that will be new bank. You call lunch at the same time. Let me say, no, serious.
Oh, David.
So,
Well,
it was a passport no man because it was issued outside Ghana.
Yeah. I want it. My TBNB account. Ghana need
by new ID card for banker.
Yeah,
Mexico banker on Yejuma. New ID card for banker on Yejuma.
yeah, because it hasn't. Almost it hasn't been synced.
Yes,
with our database, you know.
Every place of issued.
I thought that was the point of the new.
Yeah, but
You are mute.
You're mute.
That is the point. The point of the new card is to. It's not just having a card. The card itself doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
It has to lead to something.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be able to verify you, cross-check some stuff. The banks have to set up that system that communicates with wherever they collected that data. Be able to verify. If they can't do that, why should a bank accept the card now? Until that setup is complete, if you take that card to the bank, their security is not guaranteed, right?
Yeah, but I was able to fly from
almost 1 year.
What's it?
But the question is the money and the money has been allocated for that. So that's my only question in all of this. The money has been spent for that. So why do
pipeline?
My question is why
they are working on that? That is something they are working on, right?
It's in pipeline. Every day is in pipeline.
This is my question. I didn't like also minya somebody that or no what Ghana honey meet me attach it.
Because
I
think I'm just trying to think.
You need a guarantor.
From my perspective, you know, one Ghana, BBC, they can't trace your
whereabouts. Yeah, me was also and now you're back,
there be I say, at the government level, the government can trace you. They want to trace, but a private person, no, BBC, no person trace you. And you have to know they will just want to avoid that risk, right? But if you know Ghana, there's someone in the room.
Yeah, but this is the same question that I have with the Ghana government. Say so Omu can free Africa, no more I'm almost say more ID no without it. So that's the same.
Yes.
No matter what.
Yes.
No, somebody should educate me. If you say back room now your own will be a counter, that easy. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's easy. I can testify.
When I was in the UK, I was using a Ghana International driver's license.
That's it.
I drove without a problem. When I was going to Ghana, that expired. So I took the UK International driver's license. When I went to Ghana, they said no. And I was saying, they accepted it. Yeah. Because you have an international treaty with them. But when I brought it here, we cannot verify. Just said. And you know, it's so Ghana, the whole world, Ghana for Panama ID card. My mom has like 20 ID cards. All issued by the government. And a baby or the baby obeying the alcohol. And it's so say almost say on what the national ID card. My mom already has it. And now she cannot use it for anything but to register and vote for the next voting. And the amount Bohumbosia over $2 billion.
That is my question.
With
Ghana, we are a photocopy machine. It's in the right?
Yes, baby.
The police that you be the same police, but not the same purpose. It is a social security. Yes, you are snake for but in the same purpose. What I say, it's like everything that I brought from we had the same thing in Ghana, but yeah, you know, a totally different motive near there. But
all right. No, I think I've only got 9 minutes to finish, and fortunately, there are 6 of us, so 2 minutes, unless. And I think I've gone even 30 minutes past my time, but it's very exciting. The conversation is nice. Need to know your last words. Who wants to start first?
Kwame, let me go. I think Kwame, I agree with you. Just create the factories. The people figure out how to work in them. You know, if they don't have the skills, they'll find a way to get the skills to get to learn it. So at this point, our human resource, I mean, we can say relatively we've done well on that side. We've seen the effect. Now, that was just a means to an end, right? The actual thing is getting them into the factory. So let's get the factories going, and then get as many people in there to start, doing something. Thank you.
All right, Hansen, you're muted.
Okay, Otemeka. Okay. To move the country forward, say Ghana ye car. Now say odo car ko Ghana no mutimi fix here. I think say we can do something better. But my only say government koji loan be no okoye say like 1D1 district ne yina. Pay on financial private individual and some. I don't know. You bet me a bash, Say like company and government, you can regulate these people. But say, as a government institute, now, you now was say a monetarize any and the capital now or the youth, NAM or be a Jumano, be on financial say, or mine no crown or the best and say, or Shaswa, because right now the youth, near Breno, we go bash the or mine. So I say. To me, say bet me move forward the power there. Now say see a nisika there. First of all, ministers now more honey young for to pay a delay. Right now the country, your bubble say nisika, and that amount no moji biano. You hold on for now. Say you establish a country, Say you first no money as Russia now. The meaning of
Bibiano
and say odu omona say who say oman for no ye indigo bebiem dia na ye read dia and ye betimi ase ayeden I provide
as that tell you omoka
right now the country ye were yim
all right, Hansen, on that funny note. Okay, and I say Yanko Gilly Hansen.
Yo, Minda must be. Yadi baby, and the mini met me a car, the Macaca for who 1D1 FE. Maybe say a idea bebo papa. Now, Maniji or Hunina say, and ya banana, hey, or a manager. So, come a yadibia, because I did a crowd say, a bank factory say.
Right.
I buy and yes, about 7 says just say I buy it so be and you'll be a pair of Benjamin. And you'll be a pair of Benjamin. And you'll be a what? Or no, a Benjamin credit channel on pay. I'm so good no Benjamin. Now then, you say I buy no be a way buy a would you paycheck? When you're the factory at the person, there be saying it. I buy a choir or dear 1D1 F. I don't know me feel say ne kwanso say ankwankura no wo ye obeboa factories ni de omo mbe de ankenya na Nia na problem say sika obenya de akoye. Amanfo ideas. Amanfo nimdeɛ. Na
government guaranteed loans.
A government akadeɛ sika be na ɔde kwakoye.
Government guarantee loans.
Na aban abomode say ɔno akɔbɔ besia aba.
Hey,
besia sɔkɔbɔ no.
When the case the answer no over.
Besia sɔkɔbɔ no.
Listen, man.
Besia sɔkɔbɔ no. On fan kɔtena Ministry of Finance. Because all the Ministry of Finance are also aban yi. Or the private sector, the banks no. Enti banks no wo no idea say me be a factory obi krom no. Wo de onsem ekɔ 1D1F secretariat. Ya hwɛ sɛ obi bia ye kama. Na wo no wakɔ one bank na akɔ kama bro for you sika akɔ kosi factory. So say dem feel say ɛsɛ fa so.
Okay.
Na no mu kusum kakra. But tem bia say na can say. Ani ye mu pi so no ye fa ne say minim say na abrochira ye ti so ntia. Esan say abrochira dum pempenso bi no. Say abibrem ye bibia ho ye feel say ye kan na ye kukurasi ho. So the santi no ana obi de adwempapa bi ye bibi kura pa ye nya botre emma ade no enyin amfifi. So say 1D1F ya yakobo besia kura yi. Bibia no ho enye sika so eda hopo sika ya kwakobo besia eno aso so e beka che so wakobo besia dodo enti ana che say a balancing act. So but nkakran say factories ni bi peja enti no
eku juice
just ana na 1D1F no so no ade ba kwa me fi say aban no e ma ne ka say one district bia benya yi ni say every district bia organ bia no ewo akade bi ho resource ho eno de ayi studies na e kire say every district bia will bibi ewo ho enti a district bia will bibi a every district bia so me hwe say obenya obi a oye entrepreneur nipa ba ku bi kura oye entrepreneur say nipa nyohia ne say obenya mboa eno na me say 1D1F ye be boa sankofo tima no me de besi ha.
Okay, and that's the part. Now is it?
Yo, Madasi. Some kickers have been man can hear paying from what you won't find some. My brother, no 1D1F necessary. Fat on Jakada.
Wow.
I have some more. My mepeda ban oye or Ghana or in the Sa Samsi. Ghana onya kokudu no njintum da we failing en ne yasanso yamra part ne yamba hihye emman yi aban nya kokudu no njintum da ampa we fail 1D1F de wosi waka chan yen nye dam na wozre ye nye dam na wozre yakura de wosi wo ye waka chan yen was ewugu yen na adwunum oye ndede de wo wie was no onye ewubia ewo nampo na ntinu from nti ye ponchaw won jintum da we failing na yin na yentna egwa yentna wo na yensisi e manan mana ato
all right yeah
adios name adios
So first of all, Yaba and Hux, thank you for amazing input. Like it's been great reading your comments. I'm still more the same position. We have to jumpstart the economy somehow, and jumpstarting the economy with money Ghana doesn't have is not the answer. Into mobilizing the private sector, however the government sees it best to do that. Like where I live right now, Amazon and Boeing are our biggest employers here. Because of that, Amazon and Boeing pay zero tax. They have zero tax liability. But guess what? Everybody around here has a six-figure job because they work for them. And then we pay the taxes back into the community. There are so many different ways to incentivize the private sector to take up the slack in the economy. And Ghana has a lot of slack. I mean, I know we have fun with it. I know we it's games. I know we laugh with it, but it's a serious problem and it needs to be addressed.
Yes.
And, you know, jabbing back with funny talking points and jabbing back with sarcasm, and it's not fixing it. We actually need for it to be fixed. I think maybe it is time to stop the blame game. This government did it wrong, and this government. I mean, we can toss blame back and forth till thy kingdom comes. I think somebody needs to put on their big boy pants, big girl pants, put on their governing heart, and take on that leadership responsibility that they fought so hard to get. Leading is not just putting out vision. It's actually taking the lead. That's what makes you a great leader. And the Ghanaian education, for everybody who took it the wrong way about what we were saying about the Ghanaian education system, we're not saying there's anything wrong with the Ghanaian education system. As a matter of fact, the Ghanaian education system is great, but for brain drain. The Ghana government is funding an education system, and every other government except Ghana is profiting from this education system and the brains that we're producing from this education system. That it has to change.
That's true.
And I mean, yeah, basically. But as always, it's amazing bouncing ideas back and forth with you gentlemen. I always enjoy the banter. I always enjoy Nana and his
All right. I think my last word is very short. I think all these ideas we're bouncing around, the authorities in Ghana, they know all of them already. But it's the way they go about it. It has to be smart. Gilly made an example of, Ghana government going to borrow money and giving it to the banks for people to borrow from the banks. Why would you have to do that? Why do we need a middleman? Why don't the government of Ghana think smartly and just give those people who want to borrow money a government guarantee to go borrow their money, so that they don't go through the government to get any money? They just get a guarantee from the government and they go borrow their own money at a better rate.
No, but that is precisely what is happening. That is precisely what is happening.
Now,
because
you said they went to borrow the money because Ghana government going to borrow money. As soon as we hear they're going to borrow money, we know there's a problem.
So the thing is that we are talking about the need for the factories.
Right.
The banks in Ghana, they don't have the capacity to fund factories in all 275 districts. They don't have it. So the only way that 1D1F can come to fruition in all the districts is say there must be external funding. So the government would have to go outside because there's not that money inside to build factories in every district. So we go outside to bring the factory, bring the funds. And the money is not going to sit at Ministry of Finance. Now, civil servant, they are called high life. And they come back. But you are talking about the government, you are talking about the government needing, you are talking about the government giving guarantees. And that guarantee, is the approval of your 1D1F plan. Because your plan, what the balance like the government, the authority, they find said, or plan is in line with the objective of the 1D1F policy now. That in essence is your guarantee to take to the bank to get your loan.
The problem I have with that is the secretariat. Banks are awesome in giving loans to who can pay the loan back. Banks are built like that. You're awesome with that. See, the secretariat is going to be a net that sieves people. What they are going to do is that if it's NDC that is on, if you go to the secretariat, you have to bring, apart from your 10 ID cards to show that you're
your party ID.
You have to bring your party ID card. If it's
well, the thing
NPP
is that
that's
you see,
on,
the thing
it's
is that
going to be the same.
the thing is that
because
if
we
the-
know Ghana.
the thing is that if you're a serious government,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, you know, what you're focused on is that there are jobs.
Yeah.
That is your concern. Not too long ago, Ibrahim Mahama, almost be in the factory, the Ministry of Trade, because onyanyumama ukomuma, and in here,
But on
the
your
greatest.
bauxite, on your
Okay,
bauxite
yes, somebody.
contract,
Okay,
yeah,
yes,
different
sympathy.
Ose,
but on your
Okay,
bauxite
sympathy.
contract, that
Yes,
he has been
sympathy.
working on.
okay, I don't know. Make a fan one say, Ose onya bauxite.
Yeah.
Meka niema mienu. Onya bauxite yi no. Se nia na aban na ye no. Se na ye wagadrelo se ye denyo ekopie court. So ahune meka no. Tambia na meka chen say ye wa brichi ni betim dia boa ye man ba ko ni say. Se aha so bi court na say asem ne ba na ye se rule of law dia. Ye man hososo no. So bi na asem court. Na say court ni di asem na. Ye ntia say court na di asem no. Me nka say politics.
Because why the Wajima Chinese? Why the Wajima Chinese? Why the one from in the back?
Chinese.
I worked in the mining industry in Africa
The money is on Chinese now.
for some time. And engineers and planners, I tell you, it's one of the most renowned companies when it comes to mining in the whole West Africa.
Yes.
Just mining companies, you know, they just don't have enough machinery and labor to go around. Otherwise, they'll be in every country because everybody is asking for them. And to have this in our country and bring 3 or 4 companies to come do prospecting and not be able to mine. And give it to this guy, and he does prospecting.
Yeah, Africa for
and actually find bauxite. And then we just take it from him like that.
If I say, yeah, Africa for I dare back way betting the abwa a man say, Debian, your Babridge, and I can so rule of law, the rule of law, the edge man. Your horse so no, so some cockot here, look, say, and
it depends. It depends. But let me give you one example. The Chachichikatakis, rule of law. You took this guy to court, all the way to Supreme Court. He won the case. What do? You reshuffle the court, bring in more lawyers, and you win with the same margin of judges you brought in. Why the better court in it?
No, but I said you're okay. Oh, first of all, what's it? Chachudi Asamako court.
No. Abina did Chachuko court. He defended himself, took it all the way to Supreme Court. He won it. The judges were 5. The judges were 9. Okay, he won it. Government reshuffles the judges. He brings in 3 more judges, and the government win by the margin of 3. So when the people court we,
spade a spade. They stacked the deck and won by 3.
He brought
same attitude.
The exact number of judges he brought was the same margin.
The same attitude. You know what to call Lenda Mayabakawi. The same attitude to Lenda Mayabakawi. The same attitude.
Really, it's not like Ghanaians. We support rule of law, but Ghana's, the Justice Department of Ghana. Anytime I see the Chief Justice go to court in Ghana, it's against the citizens. Every time.
Yep.
Every time. Fix it. What town the portfolio? No, against fix it. Every time. We continue. That's you can continue. But Nana was you my mama wonder you like politicizing our issues.
No. Baby,
Ghana issues is Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I have to end it right now. We'll continue next week. All right, good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.